Hello and welcome to the DM Sports Talk Network. This is the Roommate Debate Podcast with Joey Menta and Dan Martinez here. Joey's having a little bit of technical difficulties, so don't blame him if things go a little bit wonky in a little bit. But we have a very special guest returning, Sean McKay. How you doing, Sean?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Menta, how are you?
I'm good.
You're good? Technical difficulties got you down a little bit, though?
A little bit, yeah. It's not my fault, but
Yeah.
be okay.
All right. Well, let's start out the episode. We got a lot to talk about. We'll start out. We got a themed start bench cut series today. So we'll start from the football world. We have three quarterbacks from the same draft, one of the most classic drafts in football history, especially from a quarterback standpoint. We have Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, and Big Ben. A lot of people will say it's fairly easy. Someone will say it's a different order depending on your fandom. A lot of things to debate when it comes to this. Personally, I think there's a clear number one. I'll just say I have Big Ben starting. But what do you guys have, Sean? What do you have?
Yeah, I agree with that. I have Roethlisberger starter. I mean, he's won 2 Super Bowls. He's always been a good quarterback in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And he has had a few injuries, but, I mean, it's never really held him back or anything. I do think next year he's going to come back. I mean, he is aging. He's got a few years left, but I do think he's going to have a good year next year. I mean, I think he's just always going to be – he was a great NFL quarterback, but I think the past few years he's always been a good quarterback. And then I'm going to bench Eli. I'm an Eagles fan, and he's in Giants, yes, but, I mean, he's one of the most, he doesn't miss games. He always plays in games.
That's fair.
Beating Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl. He's 2 Super Bowls. And, I mean, people say that his stats are as good as they are because of longevity, but, I mean, his stats are way better than Rivers and Roethlisberger. He's been in the league the same as years of them. And his stats are just great. I mean, he's going to be a Hall of Famer, I think. And then I'm going to cut Phillip Rivers. I mean, yeah, he's a great quarterback, but I would just rather have those two. I mean, they've proven they could win. And I would say Rivers over the past few years has had a better team than Eli's had. And, I mean, but, yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on Big Ben, probably on starting him. He's always pretty dominant. You know, he's always been a really good quarterback. He does have Super Bowls. And with the weapons that he's had. So, you know, I agree with that, starting Big Ben. I disagree on what you said, though. He's aging, and I feel like he's getting fatter, and he's coming off a pretty brutal injury. I just don't see him coming back to what he was 2 years ago. I think he could give the Steelers 2 more wins. You know, I don't see how they could be worse with Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges, but I just don't see him changing them into like an 11-5 team. I don't know how much of a big comeback he's going to have. You know, he had a pretty bad injury. He couldn't even throw a football. So
yeah, I agree with that.
I don't care what people say about this video that came out. Okay, great. It's a clipped video. I just want to see him in a game. And I would also agree with you, bench Eli. He was pretty good in his prime, arguably a Hall of Famer. He beat the GOAT twice. Can't really.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah. And I would have to cut Phillip Rivers. You know, he's never won a Super Bowl. And, I mean, he's solid, but, like, you know, his arm strength just really isn't there. His mobility is pretty weak. But so is Big Ben's. But I think his mobility is the worst out of all 3 of them. And I'm definitely cutting Rivers.
I mean, like, there's reasons why Manning should be benched, but I'm benching Rivers. I mean, if you look at the just the success they've had outside of just straight up Super Bowl wins, there's a lot of arguments as to Manning winning those games purely out of luck. David Tyree's catch, I mean, that was all Tyree. Like, there's nothing Manning there. That wasn't the greatest of throws. It was more just a Hail Mary chuck and pray to God Tyree comes down with it, and he did. And it ended up winning it for him. Same thing with Manningham and the second Super Bowl they won and everything like that. And if you look at the regular stats, I mean, the argument that Manning really never missed a game. Phillip Rivers hasn't missed one in 15 years. And he's got the best offensive line he's ever had coming in this year. There's a lot of people who are saying he's an underdog MVP candidate if he's healthy, which he's proven to be the last 15 years. He's only had under 4,000 yards 3 times in the last 15 years. I mean, he's had 30 touchdowns consistently for the last 15 years. He had 4 years under 30, 5 years under 30, and a few of those were 28 and 29.
I don't know.
8-time Pro Bowler.
He was last year, and he wasn't very good at all.
He just threw a lot of picks, but he also had one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL last year.
He did throw a lot of picks, but I remember halfway through the season they were saying that he was on pace for
How about his mobility? His
best
mobility is pretty
interceptions
shitty.
touchdowns ratio.
I mean, look, he didn't play crazy well last year, but I mean, same could be said for
Not
Eli.
at all.
Eli was kind of horrible his last. I mean, he played 4 games and was benched immediately because he was absolutely terrible. For a first-round rookie. And look, I get it's Daniel Jones and he was picked 6, and if Manning wasn't going to perform to high standards, they were going to give the new kid a try. But at the same time, I mean, Manning only made 4 Pro Bowls in his whole career. Phillip Rivers has made 8, and he's not done yet. I get the whole Super Bowl issue, and Phillip Rivers has been kind of rough in the postseason. But
Wait, you don't think he's done yet making Pro Bowls?
Rivers,
Yeah.
I think he can make one this year. I think he's got the best offensive line he's ever had. He's got a pretty good running back group and a solid high upside receiver group. He'll have basically the last year of T.Y. Hilton we're probably going to see. I think Hilton's going to drop heavily after this. If Hilton can stay healthy, that's a solid guy. Michael Pittman, I love. Paris Campbell will be back healthy. He has Jack Doyle, a tight end who's underrated, and he's a good big threat that they can have. They're not amazing in the receiving area, but their running backs are pretty damn good. So I like Phillip Rivers for this year. But other than that, I mean, just career-wise, I feel like he has, especially in the regular season, outperformed Eli Manning. Like, I get Manning has slightly higher stats, but he's also only made 4 Pro Bowls where Rivers has made 8. So there was obviously a lot of people who were, pointing to Rivers as a lot better than Manning. And then, I mean, Big Ben is an obvious, he's ahead, Super Bowl winner, just puts up ridiculous stats. I mean, there's that whole argument about him on the road being a lot different, but he's still a great quarterback either way. I think he's the hands-down start, but I am going to bench Rivers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then moving out of the NFL world, we go to the NBA, and pretty much the rest of the episode after that will be MLB. So from the NBA, we have 3 famed Lakers picks of the last 5 years. Should have been Lakers stars. They didn't give them enough time. Their coaching was a bit off. They didn't have enough of a supporting cast, and they've blossomed in other places. Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, and D'Angelo Russell. I think I have this is hard for me between 2 of them at least. For me, it's longevity wise, consistency from day one. But what do you guys think, Sean?
I think it's fairly easy.
Really?
Oh, this is really easy.
I'm starting Russell, benching Ingram, and cutting Lonzo.
That was what I was going to go with. I mean, I think Lonzo has it in him to possibly be better than at least one of them. But, I mean, he's not going to be a star on his team, which is kind of the problem. He's already going to be out.
Wait, you're taking
Ingram, I think.
Russell over Brandon Ingram this year?
I don't think Lonzo's ever going to be great.
Wait. You're taking D'Angelo Russell over Brandon Ingram after this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why?
Russell's been good for a long time. He was good with the Lakers. They just didn't give him enough of a chance. And then the whole Nick Young thing happened.
He's improved tremendously. He might be most improved player of the year.
Who?
Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, he improved. Yeah, but I just think D'Angelo Russell has been a better player.
He has been. I would completely agree. I mean, Russell's been good from the get-go. And, like, the Lakers just didn't give him enough of a chance after the whole Nick Young thing to really show them everything, and they traded him away for what felt like nothing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he blossomed in Brooklyn, and people don't realize, but he was pretty good in a Timberwolves uniform for now, at least. He's been pretty solid. Same with the Warriors. He was great without Steph and Clay there. I think he's shown way more consistency of being good, whereas Ingram's been good for like the last like 70 games total. Why? What's your reasoning, Menta?
I don't know. I just feel like right now as a player, I would have to go with Brandon Ingram. Especially since he's on the Pelicans, and I can see them being pretty deadly in the near future. I just, of course, like for the past few years, I would have to go Russell, but I'm talking about right now. Right now, I like Brandon Ingram. I like the way he's been playing. He's the best player on his team. I think it'll be Zion after next year.
I
But
mean, if you're saying right now that he's a better player, I mean, they averaged almost identical, same amount of points.
Yeah. And I mean,
Whereas D'Angelo
originally,
Russell-
if you're talking about best player on the Pelicans, it's Zion, I think. I mean, when he came in, Ingram took a little bit of a hit because Zion just kind of took over and they started winning more games and stuff, and they looked really good. I think he's already the best player on that team. And I mean, Lonzo's on that team too. And I think he plays better off of Zion, who's the star on that team now.
I don't
than
think
Ingram
Zion's the
does.
best player on the team yet. He didn't
I don't
play
know.
that many games.
that yet.
I mean, he played like half the games Ingram has
After
played.
the way Brandon Ingram's played this year.
Yeah. I agree with that, man. You can't say he's yeah.
Because Zion
Ingram-
brings more defense than Ingram does.
Yeah, but Ingram was still the best player on that team for the whole season.
I don't know. I mean, probably for the whole season, yeah, because he played
Without
half
a
the
doubt.
game. But I think by talent-wise, it's easily Zion.
Obviously, talent-wise, yeah, but
It will be Zion Williamson after next year if we have a season. I can agree with that, but right now you got to stick with Brandon Ingram.
yeah.
Okay, that's fair at least. But I mean, question: do you guys think in the future, like, am I wrong to think Lonzo plays a lot better off of Zion as the star than Ingram does?
No, I think Zion, not Zion. I think Lonzo's going to be below average anywhere he goes.
I think he's been pretty solid on a team where he's not going to be a scorer. He doesn't have the
He's going to
ability.
be- He's going to be a below average to average NBA player.
Yeah.
I think
He's
he
never
might
gonna
be
go- he's
slightly
never gonna
above
go
average
above
because his defense is elite.
But yeah, he's going to be he's going at best he's going to be an average NBA player in my opinion.
I mean, I can get on board with that. I think his defense is what pushes him over the edge because his offense isn't really that. Like, that doesn't make me nervous.
I think his defense pushes him to an average player. Without his defense, he's a below average NBA player.
You think he's that bad at offense?
Yes, he's that bad.
Honestly, I thought he improved
Yeah, he
a
can-
lot from what he
Well,
was because he was
yeah,
awful in the
but-
beginning with the offensive side.
I mean, yeah, he did improve on the offensive side, but
I mean, he's a great passer.
He's
He
a guy that
seems to
averaged-
give good
what,
chemistry.
he's a guy that averaged, 20 points out of college? The most you can average in the NBA is 12 in 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that's his shooting though too. His shooting's just it's. I mean, it can only go up because it's bad, but his playmaking ability is high though.
Yeah, but I mean, I know how everyone says, "Oh my, like you can't shoot a three." Like, I mean, it's whatever, but fine. Like when he was coming out of college, he shot 41% from three,
Yeah, that's fair.
and then he shot 32 and 37.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't been.
Yeah, I
good.
know it's the NBA, but like he was supposed to be.
You know, the next Lakers star and stuff.
Yeah, but I just don't think he.
I mean, I didn't buy it out of college, quite honestly. Like, I thought like the clear best players were like Tatum and Fultz, and then Fultz just got injured, and that's kind of derailed his whole career. But I think Fultz might end up being better than Lonzo still.
Oh, I don't think his career's derailed at all. Fultz.
It's been derailed. I mean, he has to get it back on track.
I think he did get it back on track at least.
He played
Getting
pretty
back-
well for the time like now, but like I want to see him be healthy for like a couple of years first.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean like, because I feel like really timid about starting Fultz every game and stuff. Like I would be worried about his health because it's just been weird injury after weird injury.
How many games did the NBA play this year? I'm pretty sure he didn't miss many.
I don't think he missed many games, but like I'm not worried about like this year. He played 64 this year, but the past 2 years he played less than 20 for both years. He played
Oh yeah, I know.
14 and 19. I mean, he averaged 12 and 5 this year in 64 games, but he shot almost 50%. So like That's nice at least.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a better NBA player than Lonzo.
I can get on board with that for sure.
I mean, even if you're saying that too, I mean, yeah, you're saying Lonzo's defense is great, but I mean, like,
I think Fultz's offensive game is way ahead of
I think he
Lonzo's,
can
though.
be way better, but I think his defensive game he has the utilities to be just as good as the defender as Lonzo. I mean, this year he proved, I mean, averaging a steal and a half a game.
That's fair. Yeah, I agree with that. All right. Well, moving on to what will end up being the rest of the episode is the MLB world. A lot to talk about, but to start, we'll do our start bench cut, which is Charlie Blackmon, Aaron Judge, and Bryce Harper. For me, this one's really easy for the start, and then like the bench. I mean, it's a toss up, but I'm starting Aaron Judge. I don't know about you guys though.
I am not. I am going to go with Charlie Blackmon, who I think is one of the best pure hitters in baseball.
I'm cutting Blackmon.
You're
Yeah,
cutting
same, I
Blackmon.
think.
Yeah.
You're cutting Blackmon.
Dude, I hate Harper, and I'm cutting Blackmon.
I mean, are you not counting? Are you just? Is this a defense thing? Is this just all defense? Is this
look,
all defense? Are we
not
talking
at all.
about just defending in general?
Not at all.
Then I would.
Blackman's a great hitter, but like he's
Please don't.
the
Are you
worst
really
defensive
taking-
outfielder in the entire MLB too.
Okay, so is this just a defending start bench cut, like just defense in general?
No, because Judge is the best hitter out of the three.
He's not.
Oh,
He hasn't
I don't know about
been the last 2
I think
seasons.
so. He's definitely a better hitter
Charlie
than Harper.
Blackmon, he has every stat to back it up, pretty much, except for home runs. Okay, he's one of the best pure average
But he's
hitters. in
hitting in Coors Field.
Oh my God, Dan! Oh,
It
please.
has an effect. It's been shown. It has an effect.
Well, I
It
guess
really
he's
does.
Nolan Arenado's not the best third baseman in baseball because he plays.
No, he is because he hits on the road too. But as far as I remember, Charlie Blackman's road stats are slightly skewed. They're a little bit different than his home stats,
They're not
and there's
that bad.
adjusted for park. Let's see.
No, I'm starting Charlie Blackmon. I think he's one of the best hitters in the MLB. Yes, his defense is bad. I agree with that.
Oh, it's horrible.
Okay, but his offense is.
Oh wow! Holy moly! This
What?
past year, he batted .379 at home and batted .299 away. 52.
I don't see what's wrong with 2.
.379 at home, .256 away.
Oh,
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's Nolan Arenado who still hits really well on the road, and he's proven that.
And
But-
Trevor Story.
Yeah, there's the guys there's the guys who are amazing, amazing hitters in general who just play really, really well in Colorado. But there's the guys who look a hell of a lot better because they play in Colorado than they would somewhere else. And I'm not knocking Blackmon. He's a good hitter. He really is. But his defense, I mean, I'd rather have
dude, he's
a
one
dead
of
human being. I would
been-
rather have somebody who can't walk in the outfield. They would catch just as many balls as Charlie Blackmon.
Okay, that's a little
I
exaggerated.
could play better defense out there than Charlie Blackmon.
McKay could do it better lefty.
Okay. I disagree.
Blackmon is one of the worst defenders in the outfield we've seen in a long time. And, I mean, his hitting might be great and all, but Harper's not the greatest defender, but he does definitely better than Blackmon does.
Last year, he was a pretty good defender.
He was
damn
solid
good.
last year. He definitely improved. He was horrible the years before that. He was really rough.
This might go the wrong way. It might be a little biased, and I'm not always the most biased guy. But when it comes to Harper, I mean,
We know how you feel about him. We got a guy who loves Harper, and we got DMAR who absolutely hates Harper. So
I mean, I
And I'm
I-
benching Harper
have
and I'm cutting
I have some
Blackmon.
reasons for saying this where I'm going to start him. Some of the reasons are just Aaron Judge's health in general.
Yeah, his health is a problem, that's for sure. I think when he's on the field, though, he's
he's healthy. He's better than Bryce Harper, though.
Maybe when he's healthy, but
I mean, he
I
literally
feel
hit
like
50.
I feel like Harper. First off, Harper's been doing it way longer than him, way longer, and they're the same age.
Yeah, that's fair.
Judge has been doing it for 3 years, whereas Harper's been doing it 8 years.
I mean, some just have to grow into it, too, though.
2012.
And I mean, I feel like Harper. I mean, we've seen Harper hit for home runs. We've seen Harper hit for average. Like he batted .330 one year, right?
Yeah,
That
but he
was a
also hit like 240 a few years
A while ago, Sean.
I know it was a while ago. I know, but he also batted. But, I mean, if we can see him do what he did his first 3 years for average, I mean, batting at least 270, he's
Yeah.
going to go right back up to where people consider him a top 3 outfielder, I think.
3?
Yeah. If he bats
I
270.
don't know about that one.
Okay, not 3, top 4. He'll be the 4th, I think, if he can bat 270.
I don't know because Bellinger, Yelich, Trout, and Betts,
And Acuna.
and Acuna.
And Soto. Wow, he could be there.
I mean,
I
there's
don't
a
know.
lot of competition in outfield because it's
There is. It's very loaded.
Yeah,
It's
there is.
this is a really tough one. I mean, these guys are all really good. It's just Judge's health. I mean, Judge is obviously he's one of the best power hitters in MLB. So I have to take him right now over Bryce Harper. Actually I don't know if I'd take him right now. He hasn't been healthy the last 2 years, but we've seen when he literally hit 52 home runs. I'm pretty sure his rookie year he was outstanding. I think he could do that if he stays healthy.
I mean, you look at their 162.
I'm really impressed by Harper.
I mean, if you're talking about Judge's rookie year hitting 52 home runs, why can't you go back to Bryce Harper's best year where he hit 330 and 42 home runs?
That's true.
No, that's a fair argument. I'm looking more at the 162 game averages, and when it's Judge, it's 45 homers and 101 RBIs, and when it's Harper, it's 33 and 95. I mean, there's an obvious difference, and when it's stolen bases, I mean, the only difference is like 5. So like it's not like they both bring a massive run threat. Neither of them are a massive stolen base threat or anything. And defensively, Judge is by far and away a better defender.
Way better?
Yeah. Judge has been in the running for Gold Glove when he's healthy.
Yeah, he's tall. He can rob homers, and he's got a good arm. So yes.
Yeah, he's got a cannon for an arm. I mean, Harper has a great arm, but Harper's not the best at tracking balls.
Yeah, I get that.
I mean, like, in a regular season, if you're telling me the last 2 years would I take Harper or would I take Judge, I think it's really close because Harper's been healthy and Judge hasn't. But, I mean, if you're telling me would you want the best of Judge or the best of Harper, I'm taking the best of Judge.
Okay, that's just dumb.
He's a Gold Glove defender who hits 50 home runs.
You can't say that yet, okay? He's been Harper's been in the league much longer, and he's had 2 amazing years.
You would take the best of Judge over the best of Harper, and the best of Harper won an MVP?
Yeah, I mean, Judge should have won the MVP. Remember that. Judge should have won. Altuve won while cheating, and still Judge had better stats.
You think Judge should have won when? 2018?
Yeah, his rookie year.
2017.
2017. He had 52 home runs, 114 RBIs. He hit 284. He did strike out over 200 times, which is the problem, but he walked 130 times. I mean,
He did lead the league in strikeouts, I'm pretty sure, right?
think about it. I'm talking as a Red Sox fan, and I'm hyping up Aaron Judge.
I don't care, but
Just logically, I
he
mean,
had 1 good year while Harper's has a few. So I'm taking the best of Harper for sure.
I would have taken 3 people over Judge that year.
really.
I'm just looking at it now. I mean, yeah, Altuve
What,
won.
the MVP race?
Yeah, Altuve won. Jose Ramirez was 3rd, where he batted .318 with 30 home runs, 85 RBIs.
But he didn't have 52 as a rookie.
I don't. Yeah. Okay, so if he had 52 as a rookie, then why didn't Pete Alonso be in the race?
Because Pete Alonso hit like 260 on a
Okay,
bad
but
team.
Judge hit 280.
Pete Alonso was on a bad team too.
And then I would also take Trout over
It's not
Judge.
that bad, Dan.
Oh, I would have taken Trout if Trout hadn't.
I would have taken Altuve, Ramirez, and Trout over Judge in 2017.
Trout would have won it if he was healthy.
Yeah, he almost did.
He literally almost won it with missing a bunch of games too. So like, look, I'm not knocking on Harper right now. I don't want to get into that. But I mean, the whole argument for Pete Alonso would be obviously if he had been, if you're going to argue the 52 home runs thing. But Alonso did hit. I mean, on a bad team, he was the only offensive player. He had other than Jeff McNeil, but he had a 260 batting average. His on-base percentage was 70 points lower. His OPS was 80 points lower. So there was definitely a big difference between the two of them.
Other than also the 20 more strikeouts Judge had.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Judge strikes out a lot, that's for sure. But, I mean, he still hits for solid enough average.
20 plus more strikeouts and he played less games than Alonso.
Yeah, I mean he struck out a lot, but I mean Stanton won one while striking out a bunch.
Yeah.
It's a different game now. I mean, if you can hit for a high average while striking out a ton, you're fine. If you just strike out a crap ton and you bat like 230, that's where your problems come.
Mm-hmm. So you said you were here. What's your order? You said.
Start Judge, bench Harper, cut Blackman.
And then Mento said what?
I'm a big Charlie Blackmon guy. I take
You've
hit.
always loved Blackman. I know you've always loved
Great
him.
hitter. I'm not even. I'm not going to talk about Coors Field. I mean, I know that's a little bit of a thing, but I mean, the guy hits like 330. He hit like 330 like back-to-back years. Yeah, so I really like him. I got to start him. And right now I have to bench Harper. And
Yeah, but McKay, didn't you pull up the batting average? It was like a 150-point difference.
Yeah.
I mean that's insane. You have to play 81 games on the road. He's a liability then on the road.
That's true. I don't really. I don't know. I just.
Because I mean, if he made up for it in
Career
defense,
average, his career batting average says otherwise. So if you're going to say he's bad because he can't hit on the road, I would have to disagree with that.
but he's overwhelmingly amazing at home for 81 games, and then he's overwhelmingly
He bets 370, 380 at home. That's crazy.
yeah, and then he's an overwhelming issue on the road, hitting 250. So like, if you're gonna hit 250 and play god awful defense for 81 of the games, and then you like in a playoff race, do you want your one of your star hitters for 3 or 4 of the games in a 7-game series hitting 250 and causing a lot of problems in the outfield?
And if we're also looking at start bench con, I mean, you also got to think about how Blackman's almost 34
That's also true.
and Judge and Harper 27.
Yeah.
That's fair. I don't know. Like, if we're saying you get them in their home ballpark, I'm taking Blackman every single time.
A heartbeat.
I'm taking Blackman. If he's going to hit 380 for me, I'm taking Blackman. Like, it's an automatic decision. His defense won't even matter if he's outproducing by a crap ton when it comes to offense. But if you have to take him for the full season, I'm just not going to take Blackman.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a knock on him. He's still a great player, and he's still a top 15, 16 outfielder. But, I mean, there's a problem when you put him on the road and he becomes an average to below average player.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything to add on that one?
No.
Other than Harper's going to win 2 MVPs in Philly.
I don't know about that one. I don't know if I can get on board with that one. The NL's loaded with MVP talent.
At least one. I'm
Maybe.
praying for one.
If you can pull out that stats from before, then yeah. But going off of baseball, before we get to our 2 other topics, Jeff Passan, I think it was, came out with a report saying the MLB and the Players Union were pretty close to a deal. And then Ken Rosenthal came out and said that's not true, and it just got worse.
They can't They can't make their minds.
Can't. The owners are really conflicted. There was a report.
Last I checked, is there a 70-game season? I'm pretty sure that's the last thing I saw.
The original offer was 60.
I mean, I don't know what's going on, but it's both the players' organization and just MLB.
The players want a ton of money, and the owners have already lost a ton, so they don't want to give them it.
Find a bunch of proposals too.
Yeah, I mean, like both sides have been kind of petty about it and want exactly what they want. And I mean, there's a half a dozen of the owners who are saying that they just don't even want the season because they've already lost enough money. But I mean, there's also that talk about possible putting advertisements on jerseys, which I think would be really stupid.
Yeah, that's like don't they do that in the Korean League?
Yeah, and they do it in like some like soccer leagues and stuff like that where they put like the full like advertisement instead of the team name and stuff.
Has Bimbo on theirs.
Yeah. Like I just think like it I mean it's a legitimate money grab, and that's the whole purpose of it, is to try and recoup some of the money, but it would just look really, really bad, especially isn't this Nike's first year as the jersey creators too?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like Nike would have to give up their first full year of money, which would kind of be a pain in the ass for them. So, but BK, you came and texted me about this before. We were talking about this in our friend group chat, if this should happen, but Barry Bonds has been a topic regarding to the Hall of Fame for a long time, whether or not he should be in, whether or not he was talented enough. And I mean, the talent, obviously, the stats, he should be an automatic Hall of Fame. But for
Thank you.
me, what's up?
He's a Hall of Fame. He's 100% a Hall of Famer.
I agree. He's a Hall of Famer.
Absolutely.
His stats say so, but he cheated for 80% of his career.
They were not illegal at the time, and everyone was using them.
They were illegal.
Dude, there's I forget what his name was, but there's a pitcher in the Hall of Fame that used steroids too, and he's on the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but once you get voted in, if they don't know about it, it's hard to kind of repeal you. That's the big issue.
Yeah, but you also gotta look at it. I mean, I know
he
used
also
steroids. I know he used steroids, but
he took all of the respect from the game that it deserves.
you also got to think about it.
Everyone basically just did the steroids, okay? And also his career, like I know the amount of home runs. Look, the only thing I can say about it was the 60 home runs. That was a little ridiculous. I think without steroids, I don't think he would have. Without steroids, I don't think he would have hit home runs. But his career batting average and his 12 Silver Sluggers prove that it's just not the steroids. Okay.
Yeah, you can't.
No, the Silver Sluggers prove the steroids. He was using steroids to be better.
You still have to hit the ball though.
And
You do, but he was a gifted hitter. A lot of people agree. The first 5 years of his career, when he was amazing and thin, he was still good. He was still one of the best in the league, and he would have been a Hall of Famer either way. But he cheated to get an extra leg up, and the next bunch of years in San Francisco were him absolutely jacked out of his mind, where like his head looked like a fire hydrant.
That was the best baseball era, though.
I mean, the steroid era was probably one of the most fun to watch because like 3 out of the 10 best players were juicing out of their minds. But it shows the respect issue. I mean, the Cubs won't even let Sammy Sosa back to the field until he admits that he cheated. And even then, they're still questioning whether or not they should let him back because he completely disrespected the game. Sammy Sosa also cheated in other ways when he corked his bat and got caught. He used pine tar quite a bit on his hands. He used sandpaper. I mean, he was a big problem. But, I mean, McGwire has been disrespected by a lot of people. He came out and said it, and a lot of people were pissed. He's barred. He's never going to touch the Hall of Fame because of it. Barry Bonds just won't admit to it. That's the problem.
Wait, I have a quick question about how you talked about the Sosa pine tar thing.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one George Brent home run?
Yeah, when he was
in the playoffs and they called it back.
Yeah.
What do you think? How do you think about that rule?
I think it's fair. Look, if it gives you a heavy advantage and it's in the rule book that it says you can't do it,
how does pine tar on the barrel give you an advantage? Wouldn't that give you a disadvantage?
I don't know how it works. I just know that it's a problem and it helps in some way, but it's like you can't have it up to a certain point on the bat.
Yeah, it's like I'm pretty sure it's like
past the logo on the bottom of the barrel, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I know a lot of players try and get away with it by like getting their bats custom made with the logo a little bit higher so they can add a little bit more. I don't really know what it does, to be honest with you, because I would think it would help the ball stick to that even more, but like I don't really know the effect. And like I get why George Brett was pissed. It wasn't like a strictly declared rule at that point where like everybody was completely aware of it. But Brett was one of the smartest players in the MLB. He had to have known about it and tried to get away with it.
Yeah.
But I mean, Sammy Sosa like literally drilled corks into his bat at one point and it smashed on the field and there was cork everywhere. I mean, that was clearly a big issue. But I mean, look, I like Barry Bonds as a player. I mean, his stats are eye-popping. Watching him play is unbelievable. But there was an assist. I mean, the dude went from a smaller guy, like a very lanky, fast dude, to an enormous human being. I mean, he was terrifying at the plate. He literally looked like you just put a truck in the batter's box and told him to hit. I mean, he didn't look human anymore compared to what he was.
The dude at 28 home runs as a 42-year-old.
I mean, he's freakish. I mean, there was obviously help. And look, I mean, there's the guys who use it for their health, and that's not fine. It's still assisting you. I mean, there's the A-Rod excuse where A-Rod went into court, said he never used it, then came out and went, oh, yeah, I used it to help me get healthy for 12 years, which doesn't make any sense logically.
He did not use steroids for 12 years.
There are a lot of people from his high school, apparently, who were talking about the possibility that he was using from high school on.
What?
I mean, you can tell when there's steroids when a guy goes from a thin, really athletic dude to a freakishly jacked human being.
He was never really freakishly jacked.
Bro, A-Rod was jacked.
Oh, he was jacked, yeah, but he was also pretty big at the time.
He was not thick, though.
No, you know how Bonds was skinny to jacked.
Yeah.
A-Rod was bigger than.
A-Rod's wasn't as dramatic, but you
Yeah.
could tell he was using.
Yeah.
I mean, McGuire was the same way. McGuire was not a big dude in his first year, and he still hit the crap out of the ball. McGuire would have been a Hall of Famer too, but then he took the assist from the steroids. And like steroids don't make you better, but they give you assist in the muscle gaining, and you gain it so fast. I mean, the best way to hit home runs is be stronger than everybody and be a great hitter in general. And they were already great hitters who then just added the strength to hit the ball even farther.
If you're talking about then the non-steroid users, what do you think about Pete Rose?
That's the thing, though. Like, they brand Pete Rose as being the same, but I don't see what he did as wrong. There's a rule that you can't gamble when you're a member on your team, but he was gambling that his team would win. He wasn't like the White Sox where they were gambling away his team losing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, he was doing it the right way if there is anyone, and it wasn't like he cheated in his career. I mean, he's one of the greatest pure average hitters of all time. It's him and it's Ichiro and Tony Gwynn who are like the three best, just straight up, just getting us the ball on the ground type hitters.
One, right?
Gwynn's up there, I think. He's the best at just putting bat on ball in general.
Didn't he like strike out like the most like 20 times?
Yeah, Gwynn was freakish. I mean, and like Tony Gwynn was like the typical speed guy in the beginning, and then he got fat and he still out hit everybody.
Hmm.
That's the scariest thing to me. I mean, the whole stat with like Stanton struck out in one season more than like Gwynn struck out in like 20 years is freakish. That's insane. So, I mean, I just have a problem with Bonds because there's like a level of, I mean, all three of us have played baseball for varying amounts of time in our life. Like, there's a level of respect for the game that you don't want to kind of give up and you don't want to show up because, I mean, you love the game, you love playing it. And Bonds kind of took that respect and crumpled it up and threw it in the back to be like, now I'm going to be the best player no matter what because I'm going to cheat my way to it. I just kind of don't like that, like, disrespect to the game.
When would you say he started using steroids?
It would have been great without the
I
steroids.
think it was towards the end of his time with the Pirates.
It's not like he was
started.
before. He would have been great. He's a Hall of Famer. It's not even a question. Like everyone was using them. I mean, they weren't even illegal at the time.
But he would have been great.
12 silver sluggers, more than anyone ever at any position.
That's great. He has a bunch of silver sluggers, but where do you think most of them came from? He out-hit everybody because he was freaking enormous from the roids.
He would have been great, but
he would have been great either way. That's the whole argument.
He would have been amazing still.
There was absolutely no necessity for him to actually use.
It was a little ridiculous, but other than that, he still would have been great regardless.
There's a solid like argument that he was the best player in the MLB at the time he started.
Oh, easily. But yeah,
So I mean, like, there was literally no reason why he should have started.
So is Big Papi a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, Big Papi already got acquitted for all that. Everyone already has said the Big Papi whole thing was insane. Papi was a fat guy from the beginning, and he never slimmed down or got stronger. Papi was the same dude. He was just figuring it out. And he attests all of his hitting ability. He had the ability. He put it together when Manny Ramirez started talking to him. Manny isn't a Hall of Famer.
You really don't think that he got stronger off them? I think he did.
He used them to get healthy in the offseason and didn't get bigger. If you look at the pictures of him, he just got fatter as his career went on. And I love Big Papi, but he just got fat at the end. Who, by the way, is one of the greatest longevity hitters of all time. At 39, he has every record for a 39-year-old hitter.
Yeah.
I mean, he had one of the best going out seasons of all time. He almost won MVP, and he probably would have if he had played the field.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Manny's not a Hall of Famer, and I hate that because I love Manny Ramirez so much. But he cheated towards the end of his career to try and stay healthy with the Dodgers, and it helped him a lot, and he got caught. And, I mean, look, the disrespect is there. He should be gone. Roger Clemens, same thing. And I liked Clemens. I mean, Clemens is a Red Sox great. He's a Yankees great. Astros great. Baseball great. But he cheated.
The Red Sox cheat.
I mean, the Yankees just got caught. The Astros just got caught. The Yankees thing is bad, though.
Yeah, that is.
That's not good for the game and for them in general.
Yeah.
And it's even worse for Manfred, thank God. I just can't wait for Manfred to have to resign. But going off of the whole cheating thing, the Astros were caught. Obviously, one of the biggest
Thank
scandals
you.
in baseball history. Just terrible what they were doing. Stole a lot of things from a lot of people with that. Hurt a lot of careers. But now that it's over, what's that?
Will any of them make it?
I don't think they should. No, their World Series is a sham. Basically, a lot of their stats are a sham. We don't know exactly how long they did it, but we know it was at least 2 years, including the World Series. I mean, they shouldn't. I just don't see why they. I mean, look, I don't think any of them will be, anyways. I mean, other than Verlander, but that didn't really affect them.
What about Cole?
That's yet to be
No.
determined. He's had like
Cole-
5 seasons, and 2 of them were bad.
And all his good ones were with the Astros.
Yeah, but I mean,
They
the
stole
cheating
signs.
didn't
They-
really affect the.
pitchers didn't do
Yeah,
anything.
that didn't affect him at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the pitchers did not cheat. I don't. You guys can fuck. You
What
guys
about the spin rate shit and stuff?
That stuff has. I don't know what that whole deal is. I mean,
don't
they're
know,
doing
but, like,
something.
Kluber, like I watched a bunch of Corey Kluber stuff, and he always talks about that.
Yeah, like Kluber and Bauer have gotten pissed off about it, saying
Not
there's
Kluber,
something-
Bauer. I meant Bauer. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like Bauer was saying it. Kluber was saying there's something weird. Like whenever he talks to them, they can't really give a reason as to why their spin rate went up. But it's like
Every single starting pitcher too.
every single pitcher they have is like in the top 15 for spin rate on every pitch.
It was McCullers, Verlander, Cole,
Yeah.
and more. And those 4 had the top highest spin rates in the
Yeah.
league.
Like Cole had a really bad year with the Pirates, especially for a guy with his talent, and then he went straight to the Astros. Spin rate jumped, and he got so much better. And like, look, there's great pitching coaches, but you'd think something would have made its way out of there and gone to other teams, like Mike Fiers or something, that like would have been telling other teams how to do the same thing to win. So like, I don't know, sandpaper maybe, some technique that they're doing. Maybe they're shaving the balls that they're using. I don't know.
Or maybe they just never taught it to Fires because he didn't need it.
Maybe, but I mean, Fiers was average.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, just give it to the starting pitchers.
Fiers was one of theirs,
But now he wasn't like the
the star.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean maybe, but I mean like
Yeah, I don't know about that.
it's a weird situation. There's so many people who have been accusing them of like the pitching issues too, but it just went a whole different direction when they got caught. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But going off of that, which Astros hitter do you guys think will be the best, either for just this year or for the future without the cheating?
I think in the future, I like Alex Bregman. I think he's going to be the best. I think we've had 2 seasons of him getting better and better, especially last year. I think he's a young stud. I mean, I know you can say the cheating and all, but something just tells me I just think he's one of the best third basemen in baseball. I mean, the guy hit over 40 home runs last year, almost hit 300 with 112 RBIs, and you know he was in the MVP race the past 2 seasons. I know that they may have been cheating, but I think in the future, you know, with this gone, I think he's going to be the best. I mean, he's 26 and he's young, so I'm going to take him. But you can also say Jose Altuve too, who's been great his whole career, even before they were cheating. You know, he's been an all-star the past like 6 years. You know, he's been in the MVP race. I'm pretty sure the last 2 or 3 years. So, but if I had to say someone, I'm taking Alex Bregman. I really like his game, even with cheating.
Yeah, I can agree with that. If we're talking about who's gonna be the best in the future,
Maybe Jordan Alvarez. I forgot
I was
about
just gonna say
yeah,
for the future, but he wasn't really involved. I don't think.
I was also thinking George Springer. I think he's still gonna be really good.
All good. They just
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep saying this. They're all really talented, and it just bothers me that they cheated because I'm gonna keep saying this. That team does not need to cheat to win. They can win without cheating. I don't know why they cheated. It makes no sense. They're talented enough to win without cheating. I think as a baseball fan, you two would agree. That team is talented enough without cheating. I mean, I know people could say, "Oh, well, we have to see it without the cheating." I think cheating helps, but I don't think it helps that much.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to say Bregman because if you look at his stats, I mean, the cheating started, 2017, early 2017. Um, and in 2016, he hit 264 as a rookie. He was okay. He wasn't really great. He was a great fielder. His
He got
fielding
really
talent
good.
wasn't
2 years
affected.
ago.
But after that, I mean, 284 with 71 RBIs, then 286 with 31 homers, 296 with 41. So I want to see another season where he doesn't have any effect.
Mhm.
He's obviously talented. He was, amazing in college, great in the minors, but I'd like to see him separately. But other than that, I mean, Altuve is probably a pretty safe pick. I'm gonna pick Jordan Alvarez though, like McKay did. Um, I mean, I don't think they were cheating heavily last year at all. If they were, it was probably minimal because they got caught early. Um, but I mean, he was outstanding last year. So I think
Yeah.
he's just going to keep raking.
He was.
And I think they just need to keep him in the DH spot because his swing is just so sweet. He hits everything.
Yeah.
That's just another gold prospect for them. So I think he'll probably out hit everybody. I'm not fully sold on Springer. His defense is amazing, but he's kind of inconsistent as a hitter for full season. He's a slightly above average hitter, but he can have, sections of a season where he's elite. So I just want to see more consistency, I guess, but probably Jordan Alvarez.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Menta, do you have Menta's corner list for tonight?
Sorry, everyone.
No worries. We'll do 2 Menta's corner lists on Sunday. One question I was gonna ask, I asked McKay, or I mentioned this to McKay before we started recording. But did you see that post, Menta, about who would be better, Saquon Barkley or James Conner this year?
Oh my goodness, Jesus Christ! That's what.
It was so bad. It was
Saquon-
literally so bad that the Steelers fans were coming out and saying, "Why is this a question?"
Yeah, that's crazy. That's ridiculous.
There was somebody at ESPN, I think it was something like that, who was literally paid to post that. Like, that was his brainchild. He was like, this is going to get somebody. Like, people are going to debate over this. They're going to have a good argument. Because, like, James Conner in his one good year was not better than what Saquon Barkley is in general.
No, definitely not. That was so.
Connor's one good year was worse than Saquon's year last year, and he missed 4 games.
Exactly. Saquon had, like, almost 2,000 total yards last year, too.
Yeah.
In, like, 12 games. And I think James Conner had, like, 1,400 in his best year.
Yeah.
I mean, I think James Conner gets replaced in the next year. They're not going to pay him. They don't want to pay running backs. They didn't do it with Le'Veon, and James Conner's not Le'Veon. So they'll just hand the reins to Anthony McFarland or draft somebody else.
Mm.
So, like, I mean, I have literally no hopes for James Conner's career.
Yeah.
He's not that good. Anybody would run really well in that system.
Actually, wait. I do have a Menta's corner for tonight, actually, but it's not really a list. So, I know I'm gonna keep. I said this last time. Eagles just lost all-pro corner, not corner, all-pro right guard Brendan Brooks, and that's really gonna sting because I think the Philadelphia Eagles from the center, from Kelsey to the right side, so Kelsey, Brooks, and Lane, I think that's the best in the NFL. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, going off offensive linemen, I'm gonna give you my dream offensive line. If I was a quarterback in the NFL, I'm gonna give you the offensive line that I wish I had from the left side, the left tackle, left guard, center, right guard, right tackle. I'm gonna tell you everybody who I want. So before I start this, honorable mentions go out to Trent Williams, Joe Staley, Marshall Yanda if he was still in the league, Mitchell Schwartz, and of course Brandon Brooks. Got to give Brandon Brooks an honorable mention. But from the left side, from the left tackle position, I'm gonna go with Green Bay Packers David Bakhtiari. No.
I mean, if you were talking about Yanda as an honorable mention, if you're still in the league, what about Joe Thomas?
Yeah.
Well, he retired too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did
Yeah.
Travis Frederick.
Cool. Yeah. So that answers my question. So they're not in the NFL anymore. I mean,
Why'd you give Yondo an honorable mention then and not Joe Thomas?
okay, I forgot about
Or Travis Frederick.
Okay, let me rephrase this. I'm gonna give you my dream offensive line that I wish I had
Still in the NFL.
that are still in the NFL.
Yeah.
Left side, David Bakhtiari. He's been very dominant for the Green Bay Packers. I'm sure we could agree
Yeah.
that he's been the best. I think when healthy, I think Tyron Smith is very good too, but I'm taking David Bakhtiari. Left guard, Quentin Nelson. He had the best stats last year.
Like-
Not even close.
Best offensive
Yeah.
lineman in the NFL. At the center position, I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles, Jason Kelsey. He's been amazing the last 3 years in Philadelphia. I mean, he's been the best at his position. Snaps wise, he barely misses any snaps, so he's been amazing. Coming from the right guard position, I hate to do this, it's really close, but I'm going to take Zach Martin from the Cowboys over Brandon Brooks. He was great out of college at Notre Dame, and the stats that he has these last few years. I mean, he's been an All-Pro. He's arguably been the best. He before Quentin Nelson. I think he was the best lineman, so he was amazing.
Both Notre Dame guys.
Yep. And then on the right side, right tackle, I'm going with Lane Johnson when he's healthy from the Philadelphia Eagles. Really great tackle who it's hard to get past him. Been really amazing for Philadelphia. So that's my offensive line.
I
Yeah.
like that. That's a really good one.
I mean,
wouldn't
honorable
change it.
mention to Alex Mack too at center.
That's true.
I mean, the past few years he hasn't been as good as he was in Cleveland. I mean,
That's
Atlanta.
fair. He's been injured though too, I think, or
Mhm.
at least banged up. But yeah, I mean, I agree. That's
Yeah.
like you could run Andy Dalton behind that line and win a hell of a lot of games.
Mhm.
You could run James Conner behind that line and he'd be better than Saquon Barkley. That is legitimately the only way James Conner will ever have a season better than Saquon Barkley.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But going off that, most underrated running back. We'll end the show on this. Do you guys have a pick for just an obvious super underrated running back?
I know
I'll
Sean
ask
thinks-
Jeff about this.
Huh?
I thought Sean was going to say Joe Mixon, which I could agree with. I
Would you
think
say he's underrated though?
I think he isn't looked at as much.
he's
I mean, I would say he's perfectly rated as a top 10 running back.
Dan, no biased, underrated. Who I think is going to break out, Miles Sanders.
I don't think he's underrated though. He had a great rookie season. He's good.
Yeah, he's good. He had a rookie. It was his rookie season. I mean, you can't really say you're underrated after a rookie season.
Yeah, unless they're
I'm gonna go Raheem Mostert.
He's fast. He's the fastest running back in football. I would agree with that.
I'm gonna go Matt Breida. Same area. His health is an issue, but whenever he's on the field, he averages like 5 yards per carry. And it's not like the Niners have the best offensive line in the league. I mean, it's good, but when he's healthy, I mean, he did have the fastest run time of any running back in the league last year. Fastest sprint speed. But I mean, behind every offensive line he's had, barring health, I mean, he averages 5 yards per carry, and he's pretty efficient. He just needs to stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Howard's the same way. That
I
whole
would also go with Kenyon Drake.
yeah, definitely.
I think next year he's going to be a Pro Bowler.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
one of the
do
best
think
pass catching running
more
backs in the league.
Yeah, he's going to be a stud next year.
I don't know. Are there any others that are really underrated? I think those are like the few that are.
Yeah, I don't know many others that I would say are underrated.
I think Le'Veon Bell is probably the overrated one.
I don't know about now.
I mean, he was like last year. Throughout the year, he was
Going
pretty
into the
overrated.
year, going into the year and looking at the year he had, then you can say yes, he was overrated at the beginning of the year, and that's coming from a Le'Veon Bell fan.
Yeah, I mean, he was.
I
He
would
was.
say going into this year, he's rated where he is.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
There's like a low end RB2, low to mid
Yeah.
RB2.
Probably around there. And then to end the show, we all play fantasy football together. So the least talked about guy who you think will be a fantasy stud this year.
Mm-hmm. Let me think about this.
I think I have mine. I've preached about him from the beginning. And no, it's not Cooper Cup.
Cooper.
Menta, any idea?
Least talked about. I don't know. You kind of just threw this on the spot. Kind of got to look at it a little bit.
I think I have two. One wide receiver, one tight end. You guys are going to like my tight end, Dallas Goedert. I don't think he's talked about enough. I mean, if Zach Ertz wasn't blocking him, he'd probably be producing at an extremely, extremely high level. He finished in the top 10 for tight ends quite a few times last year.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be pretty solid at least, especially in a weak tight end area for fantasy. And then receiver, a rival, Darius Slayton. I think he's the number one guy on that team as a receiver, and he's got the most chemistry with Daniel Jones. He had a few massive games last year, and I think he'll just be more consistent this year.
I'm going to go with A.J. Brown. I think he's going to be – I mean, I think last year – I don't think Kyler Murray should have won Rookie of the Year. It should have been Jacobs or Brown.
I agree. I think it should have been Jacobs.
I think Brown's going to have a great season.
I hope so. I mean, he's got Ryan Tannehill, which kind of sucks, but I think he could break
Ryan Tannehill and still had 1,000 receiving yards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Ryan Tannehill's just average. So
As a rookie. I think Brown could be on the cusp of being a Pro Bowler too.
maybe.
I think that's definitely a good estimate.
Next year as a second-year player. But I think he'll have a great year.
Yeah, I agree. Menta, you got your pick?
No, I don't know. I haven't looked at fantasy. Maybe I'm gonna go with Miles Sanders again. I really think he's gonna break out again, and I think he's gonna be a top 10 running back. And I know we lost Brandon Brooks. That sucks, major ass. But I
agree with that.
I think he's amazing. I already think he's great, and I think he's gonna be even better, especially if all the Philadelphia Eagles besides Brooks.
I think he's going to be like in 1,000 rushing and 500 receiving this year.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that, yeah.
I can see.
Great as an Eagles fan for me.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, thank you, Sean, for coming on.
Yep.
Before we let you go, you are our token boy for Matera Mulch. Your family had it done. You gave it a great review. Nick Matera is a great dude. He's in our fantasy league. He's just a great guy. He's great at doing mulch. So give him a call. You'll get 5% off if you use the code MULCH20. That's MULCH20. That's MULCH20 for 5% off your mulch job. It's a great deal. Absolutely great deal. But other than that, if anybody has a company or knows a company that wants to sponsor us, go for it. We'd love it. It would be awesome to put money in our pocket for doing this. We love doing it. But getting money for it would be even better. So we can buy mics and stuff like that for it. But other than that, thanks for coming on, Sean.
Thanks for having me.
Really fun episode. We'll definitely we're obviously going to have you on a few more times by the end of this too. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys. And share it with all your friends to grow the network. Follow us and like us on Instagram at DM_sports talk. And subscribe and like on YouTube, the DM Sports Talk Network. Thanks, guys.